A private investigator was caught. Open quickly, don't try to skin this. Archangel Michael says. The air around you has been shifting for days, and you may not have noticed the way eyes have been following you from places you cannot see. A presence has been weaving in and out of your life, collecting fragments of your world, and today, the mask slipped. The one you thought was a distant stranger turned out to be a private investigator, and they have been caught red-handed. From the first step they took into your orbit, they studied you like an unsolved mystery. They followed the curve of your movements, the patterns in your voice, the rhythm of your days. And though they tried to remain invisible, the shadow they cast grew darker until it could no longer be ignored. Someone noticed. Someone tracked the tracker. And in that single, shocking moment, the hunter became the hunted. The evidence spilled open like a torn envelope in the wind. Photographs, scribbled notes, time-stamped recordings, each one a piece of the puzzle they had been secretly building about your life. This was not random curiosity, it was deliberate, calculated, and funded by a source you are not yet ready to hear. Type Amen to get blessing 333. Archangel Michael says. They thought they could outsmart the divine eyes that watch over you, but nothing escapes truth for long. In their arrogance, they underestimated how swiftly exposure comes to those who weave deception. And now, their name is not just whispered in back alleys, it is spoken in rooms where judgment is swift. You must understand, this was not some harmless act of idle interest. This was intrusion dressed as investigation, violation hidden beneath a suit and a notepad. Every moment they watched you, they believed they were closing in on something valuable, something only you possess. The person who sent them wanted answers they could not get directly. Instead of confronting you, they invested in shadows and silence, paying for your privacy to be stolen. But the mistake they made was choosing someone who could be caught. The moment of capture was not gentle. It was abrupt, like a door slammed in the middle of the night. Their eyes widened when they realized their cover was gone, and every lie they had rehearsed crumbled. Type Amen to get blessing 444. They tried to destroy the evidence on the spot. Phones were switched off, notebooks torn, cameras wiped clean, but traces always remain. A memory card slipped from their grip, and in that tiny piece of plastic lived the truth of everything they had done. The one who caught them is not just holding this card, they are holding leverage. Because inside those files are names, dates, and details that stretch far beyond you. This private investigator had other targets too, but you were the one they watched most closely. Their employer had given strict orders: find the weak spots. Find the habits, the secrets, the vulnerabilities, and report back without being seen. But fate has a way of folding the map, bringing the predator face to face with the very light they tried to avoid. Archangel Michael says. You are not to fear what is revealed next, for divine timing has already written the ending. The exposure of this spy is not a coincidence, it is a shield placed in your path before harm could strike. The one who wanted your privacy shattered will now taste the bitter edge of their own trap. Type Amen to get blessing 555. You may feel a rush of emotions, confusion, betrayal, even curiosity about what they truly found. But do not allow their presence in your story to stain your peace. What matters most is that their grip has been broken, and the strings they pulled now lie in a tangled heap. The photographs taken of you, walking down streets, entering buildings, speaking with people, were all meant to craft a narrative that suited their employer. A story that might have painted you in a light you never asked for. And though they nearly succeeded, divine intervention tore the script apart before it reached the wrong hands. This capture is not just an end, it is a warning. Because there are still threads of this plot that run deep, hidden in places you do not see. The person who paid for this watchful eye has not given up yet, but their power is crumbling. The investigator is being questioned now. They are being pressed for details, and each answer they give tightens the circle around the one who hired them. The truth is moving toward you, step by step, and soon you will see the full picture. Type Amen to get blessing 777. The shock will not come from knowing they were watching. It will come from discovering who stood behind them all along. A name from your life, one you thought was too distant, or too loyal, to ever turn against you. When this name is revealed, the weight of it will hit you like thunder. Memories will flash through your mind of moments shared, words exchanged, trust given. And you will see, with painful clarity, how long the betrayal has been brewing. But you will not be alone in this confrontation. For every step you take toward the truth, protection will walk beside you. And when you finally stand before them, the courage to speak will rise in you like a storm breaking over still waters. Archangel Michael says, this exposure was the first domino to fall in a chain that will dismantle every shadow sent against you. You will not just watch the plot unravel, you will hold the thread that unravels it. And when the final knot is pulled free, the one who orchestrated this will be left with nothing but silence. Archangel Michael says, the night after the investigator was caught, an uneasy calm settled over the air around you. It was the kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful, it feels like the pause before something big breaks open. You may not have heard it, but whispers were already moving through hidden channels about what had just happened. Behind closed doors, people were panicking. The employer, the one who thought they were untouchable, was now pacing in a locked room, debating whether to cut ties or attempt damage control. They didn't expect their carefully chosen spy to slip up so publicly, to get trapped in a situation they couldn't talk their way out of. Their fear is not for the investigator, it's for themselves. They know the one who caught them has proof strong enough to shatter reputations and open doors to legal fire. Type Amen to get blessing 888. You must understand, this was never just about watching you. It was about positioning themselves to strike at the exact moment you were vulnerable. They wanted to know your routines, your trusted people, your hidden thoughts, so they could twist them into a weapon. But that plan is dust now. The divine hand has crushed their advantage before it could be used, and the investigator is no longer a silent shadow. In fact, they are speaking more than they should, revealing pieces of the puzzle their employer hoped would stay buried. Every word they confess is a crack in the wall. The names being mentioned are causing ripples far beyond your circle, drawing the attention of people who have the authority to act. And while this unfolds, you stand in the center, watched, yes, but this time by protection, not harm. Archangel Michael says, your life is shifting under your feet, but not in a way that will destroy you. This is the season of exposure, when false masks crumble and the true faces behind them are shown in full light. And though the revelations may sting, they will free you from chains you didn't even know you were wearing. Type Amen to get blessing 999. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of what has happened. Because of this one caught investigator, an entire network of deceit is now under scrutiny. Those who thought they could hide behind hired hands are feeling the heat, and it is only growing stronger. They may try one last move, a desperate act to protect themselves. It could come as an unexpected message, a fake apology, or a sudden offer meant to distract you from the truth. But you will see through it, because the veil has already been lifted. The files recovered from the investigator are now in safer hands. Photographs, recordings, time-stamped trails, they are all being studied carefully. And the more they are examined, the clearer it becomes that you were not just a target, you were the priority. This means something important. Whoever ordered this was deeply invested in knowing every detail of your life. Not for idle gossip, but because they feared what you could become if left unshaken. Archangel Michael says, "They wanted control, but they are losing it faster than they can grasp. And soon, they will be the ones under the kind of watch they once placed on you." That is the balance being restored, and it will be swift. Type Amen to get blessing 111. Archangel Michael says, "The turning point arrived sooner than anyone expected." The investigator, now backed into a corner, began to trade secrets in exchange for leniency. Every confession they gave was like unlocking a door you didn't even know existed in your own story. At first, the details came in fragments, addresses, meeting spots, coded messages exchanged between the one who hired them and a network of contacts. Then the tone shifted. They began naming names, and your blood would have chilled if you had been in that room to hear the first one. The name was not a stranger. It was someone whose voice you could recognize even in a crowd, someone you've shared moments of trust with. Hearing it sent shockwaves through those listening, because it confirmed what the divine already knew: this betrayal was personal. Type Amen to get blessing 222. The pieces clicked together in painful clarity. They had positioned themselves close to you not out of care, but out of calculation. Every friendly smile, every casual conversation had been a mask hiding a much darker intention. They had something to gain by knowing your every move. Perhaps it was money, perhaps influence, perhaps a chance to remove you from an opportunity they wanted for themselves. Whatever their reason, it was enough for them to invest in a shadow to follow you. The investigator's notes revealed that they weren't just tracking where you went, they were mapping your emotional triggers. What angers you, what brings you joy, who makes you vulnerable. They wanted a blueprint of your mind so they could break you without lifting a hand. Archangel Michael says, "You are being given this information now because the window to act is opening. There will be a moment where the truth surfaces in a way they cannot deny or twist. And when it does, you must be ready to stand in that light without fear." Type Amen to get blessing 555. The one who caught the investigator is now preparing a full disclosure. There are photographs of them together, your betrayer and the investigator, in dimly lit corners of cafes and parked cars at odd hours. There are bank transfers that trace back directly to the source, leaving no room for denial. This evidence is heavy, and it is moving toward exposure. It will not be whispered behind closed doors, it will be brought into the open. And when it is, the mask they have worn for so long will shatter in front of everyone who once believed them. You may feel the urge to confront them immediately, but timing is everything. The divine does not just tear down walls, it waits until the perfect moment to strike so the collapse cannot be rebuilt. That moment is close, so close that they can already feel the ground shaking beneath them. Archangel Michael says, "They underestimated one thing: you are not without protection. They thought you would be blindsided, left defenseless when the truth came out. Instead, you will be standing tall, armed with proof, while they scramble to explain the unexplainable. Type Amen to get blessing 777. Their reaction will not be calm. They will try to twist the story, to make you doubt what you see, to make others think the evidence is fake. But no matter how loud they shout, truth has a way of cutting through noise like a blade through silk. And when their lies crumble, something remarkable will happen. You will feel the chains they tried to wrap around you dissolve. Every hidden eye, every false friend, every manipulative word will lose its power in an instant. And they will be left with nothing but the echo of their own downfall. The investigator's role in your story is over, but the consequences they triggered are just beginning. This is not just justice, it is a cleansing. And from this day forward, no shadow will ever watch you unnoticed again. Archangel Michael says. The storm finally broke on a day that seemed ordinary at first. The sky was still, the air thick with that strange quiet before a dramatic shift, and you had no idea how quickly events were about to spiral. But somewhere else, across a city, in a cold room lit by a single lamp, the last pieces of your betrayer's secret life were being laid bare. The investigator, now stripped of their former confidence, handed over the final files. Not just words and photos, but videos, clear, undeniable footage showing meetings, exchanges, and hushed conversations that revealed everything. The moment those recordings began to play, there was no turning back. In them, you could see your betrayer leaning forward, speaking with urgency. They were instructing the investigator on where to follow you, what questions to ask people you know, what signals to use when reporting back. And the most chilling part? Their expression was calm, almost proud. Type Amen to get blessing 333. The room where this evidence was reviewed became heavy with the knowledge that this was bigger than anyone had guessed. This wasn't a simple hire to check on you, it was a coordinated operation meant to dismantle your credibility and reshape how people saw you. They had been preparing for months, waiting for a moment to strike when you would be least able to defend yourself. But the divine shifted the script. Instead of you being blindsided, they were the ones caught off guard, their every move now trapped in digital permanence. The more you learned, the clearer it became, this was never just business, it was personal. They envied something in you, your voice, your influence, your resilience. They feared what you could build if left untouched, so they tried to get ahead of you by breaking your foundation. And yet, in trying to weaken you, they revealed their own weakness. Archangel Michael says. The time to hide has ended for them. Every contact they have will soon know the truth, and no carefully crafted lie will be able to patch the damage. When the light hits them, they will have nowhere to run. Type Amen to get blessing 444. The public exposure began subtly, an anonymous leak to someone who was already suspicious. Within hours, screenshots of the meeting started appearing online, paired with sharp questions about loyalty and betrayal. Your betrayer's phone began to ring non-stop, messages pouring in from people demanding answers. At first, they tried to play innocent. They claimed the images were edited, the recordings fake, the timeline wrong. But the problem with lies is that they crumble when faced with overwhelming proof. By evening, the story had spread beyond their control. People who once believed every word they said now stared at them with doubt, replaying the evidence over and over. Whispers turned into shouts, and their name became tangled with words like liar and manipulator. Archangel Michael says. This was not meant to destroy you, it was meant to set you free. The shadows that followed you have been exposed in the open sun, and their power has evaporated. Now, your steps will no longer be weighed down by unseen eyes and secret plots. Type Amen to get blessing 555. They will remember the moment they were caught for the rest of their life. Not because of the embarrassment, but because it was the instant they realized they had underestimated you completely. And from that day on, your presence will be something they cannot ignore, even if they pretend otherwise. Your path forward will feel different now, lighter, but also sharper. You will walk with the knowledge of who is truly with you and who only pretends to be. This truth is not just protection for today, it is armor for the years to come. The divine has turned what was meant for harm into a shield that will guard you in future battles. And while this chapter closes, the ripples it leaves behind will continue to protect you long after their name fades into silence. This is not just an ending, it is the beginning of a safer, stronger season in your life. Archangel Michael says. The confrontation did not happen in a crowded place. It was somewhere quiet, almost too quiet, where every word spoken could be heard like a pin dropping. You stood there, heart steady but eyes locked, knowing this was the moment the entire game would end. They arrived late, pretending calm, though their hands betrayed them with small, nervous movements. The silence between you was heavy, each second stretching like it could snap. And then, without preamble, you placed the folder of evidence on the table between you. Inside was everything, every photograph, every recording, every note the investigator had taken under their orders. Their eyes flicked through the pages at lightning speed, as if moving faster would somehow erase what was in front of them. You watched the color drain from their face with each turn. Type Amen to get blessing 666. They opened their mouth to speak, but you raised a hand, not in anger, but in authority. The power in that moment was yours, they could feel it, and it unsettled them more than the evidence itself. For the first time, they were on the defensive, stripped of the ability to hide behind calculated charm. You spoke with precision, naming each detail they thought you'd never know. Every meeting, every instruction, every payment trail that connected them to the caught investigator. There was no need for shouting, the truth itself was loud enough. They tried to push back, but each denial they offered was met with proof. Every false excuse collapsed before it even finished leaving their lips. By the third attempt, they stopped talking entirely, realizing the weight of what stood against them. Archangel Michael says. You did not need to seek revenge, justice was already unfolding in perfect order. Their downfall was not loud or dramatic, but slow and unrelenting, like a tide pulling them under. And the more they struggled, the deeper they sank. Type Amen to get blessing 777. When they finally looked at you again, there was no arrogance left, only the hollow recognition that they had lost everything. The image they built of themselves was gone, their allies scattered, their influence shattered. And in that silence, they knew the truth, they could never touch you again. You stood, gathering the folder back into your hands. Not to keep it hidden, but to ensure it stayed in the right place, somewhere safe, where it could never be altered or destroyed. This was more than evidence, it was your shield, your proof, your closure. Walking away, you felt the air shift around you. The heaviness that had followed you for weeks lifted, replaced by something clear, almost weightless. The shadow that once trailed you was gone, broken at its source. Archangel Michael says. From this point forward, no one will ever move against you in secret without the light exposing them first. The divine has marked your path with a protection so fierce that even the boldest enemy will hesitate. And every step you take now will carry the authority of someone who has faced the hidden and won. Type Amen to get blessing 888. Far away, the investigator remains silent, their work dismantled, their ties severed. Your betrayer retreats into the background, their name whispered only as a warning to others. And you, freer, stronger, unshaken, continue on the path that was always meant for you. This was never about the spy. It was about revealing the truth that would set the course of your future. And now, that future is brighter than they ever wanted it to be. The chapter is closed. But the victory it brought will echo in every choice, every step, and every opportunity that comes next. You were watched, but you were also protected, and protection always wins. Archangel Michael says. The days after the confrontation felt strange at first, almost unreal. You would catch yourself listening for footsteps that were no longer there, glancing over your shoulder out of habit. But the shadow was gone, completely, undeniably gone, and your spirit began to breathe in ways it hadn't for weeks. The people around you started to notice the change. Your voice carried differently, your posture spoke of someone who had walked through a storm and emerged without a scratch. Those who had once doubted you now began to seek you out, curious about the quiet strength you carried. Your betrayer, meanwhile, was unraveling in silence. Their phones stopped ringing, their allies distanced themselves, and the spaces they used to command with ease now rejected their presence. The same eyes that once looked at you with suspicion now turned on them with the weight of truth. Type Amen to get blessing 999. The investigator disappeared from your life entirely. Some say they left the city, others believe they were warned never to cross paths with you again. Either way, their role in your story was over, and all that remained was the lesson their presence had taught you. You became more careful, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Doors that were once open to everyone now required trust to be unlocked. You learned to recognize the subtle tells of deceit, the shifting eyes, the too perfect words, the sudden interest from unexpected places. Archangel Michael says. This experience was not meant to harden your heart, it was meant to sharpen your vision. Now, you will see danger long before it reaches you. And those who attempt to work against you will find themselves exposed before they even have a chance to act. Type Amen to get blessing 111. With the truth out, new opportunities began to flow toward you. People who had kept their distance returned, offering collaboration, friendship, and trust. Even strangers seemed drawn to your energy, sensing the unshakable shield that surrounded you. The situation that was meant to destroy your reputation instead became the reason for your rise. Your name began to carry a different weight, one of resilience, of someone who could not be broken by schemes or whispers. And the very network that had once been used to spy on you began to collapse, leaving your betrayer with no power to rebuild it. As the weeks turned into months, you realized something profound. This was not just an ending, it was a divine reset. A clearing of the old, false connections so that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right paths could enter your life. Archangel Michael says. You are stepping into a season where nothing hidden can survive near you. The light that surrounds you now is not temporary, it is permanent. And from this moment on, every shadow will be chased away before it can even touch your steps. Type Amen to get blessing 222. Your betrayer will remember you not as a victim, but as the moment their own web of lies began to collapse. And they will carry that memory like a stone in their chest, a silent reminder that truth always finds its way. You, however, will walk forward lighter, stronger, and more certain than ever before. The divine watched every second of this play out, guiding it toward the outcome that would protect you most. Every delay, every revelation, every twist in the story was carefully placed to lead to this exact victory. And now, you can move forward without looking back, knowing the chapter is closed forever. Archangel Michael says. A year later, the story of the private investigator was no longer an active wound, it had become a legend in its own way. People still whispered about it, not out of gossip, but as a cautionary tale of how quickly deceit can collapse when light steps in. Your name was no longer attached to the idea of being watched, it was attached to the idea of being untouchable. You had grown in ways you couldn't have imagined. The caution you once carried turned into a kind of wisdom that guided every decision. Opportunities came, not because you sought them recklessly, but because the right people knew you were someone who could not be easily shaken. Your betrayer's life, however, had taken the opposite path. They had been quietly shut out of circles they once commanded, their influence bleeding away day by day. Doors that used to open with a smile now stayed locked, and no amount of manipulation could turn the key. Type Amen to get blessing 333. The investigator, too, had vanished from the public eye. Rumor had it they had been forced into early retirement, their credibility destroyed by the exposure. What was meant to be just another job had instead become the moment that ended their career. And yet, you held no bitterness toward either of them. Not because they deserved forgiveness, but because you had moved far beyond their reach. Their existence no longer touched your present, it was sealed away in the past, powerless to influence what was unfolding now. Archangel Michael says. The divine's protection is not just for moments of danger, it is for the life that follows after.